Okay, welcome to Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour on Paris Underground Radio. I'm your host, Carolyn Connor. Today, I'm going to be talking with my friend, Aubrey Terrazas. Hi, Aubrey.
Hi, Caroline.
First things first, Aubrey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am Aubrey Terrazas. I am a wine entrepreneur. I launched a wine marketing agency called Caroline, as well as I'm a co-founder at Palette Club, which is a wine subscription that uses AI to match wines to your taste. I am American, obviously, if you could tell by my accent, but I am normally based in Lyon.
Yeah, so you are also a grade A hustler. You hustle.
Oh, and I'm a master sommelier candidate, but I've taken...
Well, and you also are like fitness instructor and a yogi, and you climb mountains, and you're pretty amazing.
Yes, it just depends on which career you want to focus on. But yeah, I was a fitness instructor for like 11 years, Reiki healer, traveler.
Multidisciplinary. I like it.
Lush.
Yeah, lush. Exactly. And then do you want to help me fill in the gaps? How did we meet, Aubrey?
Yeah, so I was planning to move to France for a number of reasons, mostly just because I always wanted to, and it was the right time. Some business opportunities there. And so I had decided on Lyon with my husband, Alex. My friend, Tim, who's an MW, just emailed me one day and was like, oh, by the way, I have a friend, Caroline, who's another American. She's awesome. Let me connect you. And so he connected us. And then we did a Zoom call where you told me all about the Lyon neighborhoods and where I should look for housing. I think you thought I was a hipster because you told me to go to the 7th.
The 7th is cool. The 7th is great.
It is cool, but it's very up and coming. And I actually ended up in your neighborhood in the Croix Rouge, which is very it's a bourgeois bohemian, or bobo, as they call it in French.
Bobos. A pejorative term, which I embrace because I am definitely a bobo. Yeah.
I like it. I'm definitely a bobo.
That's funny. Yeah. So Tim, I asked Tim to be on, but you know how he is. He doesn't like to show his face or his voice. So Tim, sent me an email. He was like, oh yeah, you need to meet Aubrey. You're going to love her, blah, blah, blah. And I looked you up and I was like, are you sure? Because Aubrey is beautiful and has really good Instagram. So that triggers all of my jealousy instinct. So I was like, oh, really? Okay, fine. And then we met up and I loved you immediately. So I was wrong about everything always.
Well, you're beautiful too.
Thank you. I remember meeting you. When we met at the Salon de Vigneron Indépendant, the independent winemaker salon. You were wearing your little red coat and you've got your red hair. Yeah, it was really fun. We just walked around and
yeah, that was before COVID, when you could just go to a wine tasting with hundreds of people and it was totally fine.
I know those were the days, right? That was fun. That I think is still happening this year. My two favorite things in the entire world are singing and wine, two things that are basically impossible for COVID because wine tasting involves spitting if you're doing it properly, which is not COVID friendly. And singing obviously is really not a good idea for COVID, unfortunately. But and you love singing too. So we do karaoke together back in the day before the apocalypse. So
singing is great for COVID at home, but I think what you mean to actually tell people is that you love karaoke.
I love karaoke. And I did actually go to the karaoke bar, Elodie's Pub, which is the greatest. I had a really, really disappointing date with, did I tell you about the castle guy? I went on a date with a guy who was like bragging about his family castle in Beaujolais and how many houses he's got, blah, blah, blah. And then bro takes me to like a crappy bouchon, which is basically Lyon. We have these restaurants, they call them bouchons. And it's like all the insides of a pig. And the good ones are good and most of them aren't good. And he took me to one that was just, like a tourist nightmare. And then didn't drop 32 euros for my dinner. I'm like, really, guy? You've been sitting here talking about your parents' house in Antibes and your chalet in the Alps and your castle in Beaujolais, and you can't afford 32 euros for my shitty dinner. Needless to say, I was disappointed.
86.
Yeah, 86. Well, exactly. And then, since we were in the old town, which no one in their right mind would ever go for dinner on a date. He fucked off, and I was walking back towards the metro, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to check in on Elodie. And I went in there. It was early and there was no one else there. And they were so happy to see me. They were like, okay, hi. It's like, I missed you guys. So we got to go back there.
Did you sing?
I did. Yeah. I have a strategy. I like to go early and sing all the really long, sad songs or like the Broadway ballads that no one else wants to hear. And then when the drunk people show up, I leave. So it's a good strategy.
Yeah, we went there, and I think that I did Bodak Yellow by Cardi B, and the French people did not get it.
Yeah, that was intense. I remember that.
And I was drunk, so it was also not a great Cardi B.
We have to be drunk. Well, and we've had some pretty good parties. I mean, you were having some good parties at your place. Your 4th of July party. That was the last big party, I think, that I went to.
Yeah, that was really big. That was last summer, 2020, when in France, everyone thought that COVID was over. LOL.
Yay. Haha. And yet again, this summer, I think people think the same thing, and it is not true. But what you're here today to do is to tell me a funny or stupid story. I really do enjoy stupidity in my stories, and then I'm going to pair a wine with it. And I think the wine pairing part will be fun because you are more knowledgeable than I am, I would argue, and thus we can actually have a pretty intense conversation about the wines.
Well, I think so. I was thinking I could share maybe just kind of a very peculiar time in my life, which has a couple of short stories. And that was when I worked at Hooters in college.
I love it.
So first of all, I moved to Chicago. I was 18. I was starting college. And it was kind of a joke because I was always generous in that area for my size. And so it was like, oh, well, if all else fails, I can work at Hooters. But then I kind of applied there, and, like other 18-year-olds, I applied at Starbucks, And then it came down to Starbucks or Hooters. And I talked to my mom. I was like, okay, well, I would have to start work at 4:30 in the morning. I'd get paid minimum wage. I'd be a Starbucks barista. Or I also got offered a job at Hooters, and I'd be a hostess. And it wasn't great. I was getting paid like $8.50 an hour, which, I mean, this was a while ago. Okay. College is, do I even want to say it? I mean, this was like 2006 or something.
A different age.
Right. But even still, $8.50 was nothing then either. And she's like, I think you should just work at Hooters. I didn't tell my dad for obvious reasons, but so interestingly, this was a very formative time in my life, and you can laugh about that, but I came from a small town, moved to Chicago, and I didn't know how to doll up yet properly. And so I worked with all of these women in downtown Chicago who were just gorgeous. And we basically they joked and called it kind of like, it was like a stripper room which I don't like that term, but basically we had a giant mirror and all the girls would be getting ready because actually.
That sounds fun though.
Yeah, which it was actually really fun because you're just like, you're hanging out with your girlfriends all the time. It's a very playful environment. And we're actually required to have our hair styled, to wear a minimum of blush, mascara, and lipstick. We had to have our nails done. And then we had to have obviously the normal uniform. As a hostess when I started. I had like a white polo and white shorts, but I did have to wear the suntan tights, which was hilarious because I was like in Chicago and a vegan at the time. And so I was super pale.
Yeah, you're not like a naturally tan person. Yeah, you're Irish as fuck.
No, I'm a little bit Irish, but I'm really German.
You're white. You like me.
Super white. And I even remember one time this woman from New Zealand was at the restaurant and was like, how did you get your legs so brown? And I was like, they're tights.
I didn't.
It's just two different colors.
That's pretty weird.
But anyway, so there's just a lot of crazy things that happen there all the time. So to give you an idea, basically, you have the people you'd expect. You have the regulars that hang out at the bar and just get cocktails and talk to the girls, but they tip well. They also have people that really are just there for the wings.
Are they good?
The wings are fantastic, actually. Yeah, the wings are really good. I met later because I didn't eat them at the time when I was vegan. But they also, the thing is, because Hooters girls are so like caricatures of themselves, they also are not surprisingly often not respected. And so some people would tip you like $80, other people would just leave change because you're not a real person. But all the time, the girls there, the type of woman that would work at Hooters is super crazy and oftentimes really intelligent. I mean, there were like medical students.
Hey, you're making money.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it was a pretty fun job. I learned how to do my hair. I learned how to do my makeup. I also learned just how to talk to men too.
I still haven't mastered that one.
It's still hard, but what's funny is that I learned how to use people's assumptions about you as an advantage. So for example, people always assumed that I was an idiot, which I'm not.
Can we also tell everyone that you're like 4 feet tall? You're tiny. You're like 5'2". How big are you?
I'm 5'4",
You're
5'1.5".
1.5. Yeah. You're mini. You're tiny, which and I'm not. But I know from my tiny friends that like you get all the sexism that gets on all of us is like compounded by size too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for sure. Because I was very young at the time and I'm small. So, people assume the worst for small women. I guess just
people are stupid.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing. I have to prove myself that much more.
And now a word from our sponsors.
When former college roommates Joanne and Britt join up for a hike in the Colorado Rockies on Joanne's 25th birthday, they're prepared for a light, fun, 4-hour walk culminating in delicious birthday barbecue.
You ready? Britt, are you putting on lipstick?
So what?
So we're about to go on a 4-hour hike up the Rockies.
So? Mother Nature will appreciate the effort. But when they decide to follow a mysterious arrow in the woods, things take a turn for the bizarre. Hey, wait, this rock has an arrow painted on it. Was that yours?
I don't remember an arrow.
Should we follow it? Maybe it's a sign.
We don't want to get lost, though. There's only this one trail.
Well, let's just take a little peek. What could possibly go wrong? With not much more than lipstick, dental floss, and their own senses of humor to get them through, will they survive against Mother Nature, unexplained occurrences, and an abandoned town that may not be abandoned after all? Babes in the Woods, an original comedic mystery series. Wednesdays on Paris Underground Radio.
Welcome back to Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour.
The thing is, if you've ever worked at a restaurant, especially if you've ever worked at the door, you have such big control over the success of the evening. So, for example, if a server gets triple sat, especially with different group sizes, that can fuck up her whole evening. And that can even mess up the kitchen too. Like it's this huge cascading effect. I'm not saying I still ask for tables that I prefer too, but it's fine. But I also really tried, because there was such a juxtaposition between the type of guests at Hooters, I really tried to keep it fair based on who was coming into the door at the time and what was available. Because otherwise, if there were better sections based on the better tables, and then I'd have to hear it from the girls like, oh, why'd you give me that table? Like, da, 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 da. And so I would so someone would point to a table and ask for that. And I would just be like, wait, what? And be like, no, never mind. I'll take it. Don't worry.
I love that. Why not? Huh? What?
Other crazy things that happened. I have a memory of someone coming in, and he just opened the rotating door downtown Chicago, and he said, I'll give $100 for the first girl that gives me her socks. So then all these girls start ripping off their shoes in the middle of the restaurant and just throwing dirty Hooters socks at him. And then he just took a stack of bills and just made it rain.
That is amazing.
It's real life.
Yeah. I would sell my socks for €100.
Oh, hell yeah. I would still do that.
Anyone want I'm wearing socks right now. If you want these socks for €100, you let me know. Slide into my DMs. You can have them.
I think that's a good deal.
1,000. I'll give you something else for 1,000.
Pushing it. Yeah. And actually some of the girls even sold some of their used clothes on eBay.
Well, it's like a good Halloween costume too, right?
Well, no, for creeps.
Oh, for
they're
yeah.
wanted their dirty panties shorts.
Yeah. That's a market for that.
Yeah, you could definitely. A lot of people did buy the stuff for Halloween costumes though too.
Well, you can just go, I could go into Hooters and buy a t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, anyone. The merchandise is actually there would often be someone that specifically worked merchandise.
That's crazy, because that's a big restaurant too. What a swift kick. Because I know you went on to manage super high-end restaurants in San Francisco. So that was the groundwork for giving you the skills to manage that many people in a big space and a lot going on and keep it all flowing.
Yeah. So the thing that's crazy about it is that it actually was the place where you have to kind of learn to not take shit when you're in the service industry and learn that boundary. And it can be really blurry, especially for female servers because of the tipping, or at least in America in particular. I think that's true anywhere. But as a female server, it's actually very vulnerable when your whole salary, it's like, if you don't tip me 20%, then I'm going to make like $5 an hour, even still.
That's crazy.
And so it's very vulnerable because you have to just kind of take a lot of stuff and you just sort of giggle it off because you want to get tipped.
I'm terrible at that. I've been a server a couple times and I'm not good at being deferential to assholes. I'm not good. I can't.
No, and you know what? We shouldn't. And that was actually, I worked in the hospitality industry for 15 years. I worked before there, and I worked at other restaurants before Hooters, and very nice restaurants afterwards. And that was one of the places where I felt management had my back the most, because at a lot of restaurants,
that's interesting.
If you tell the manager like, hey, this guy said something inappropriate to me, it's just, you kind of expected to deal with it.
That's really interesting. But then I guess, yeah, I mean, they've got to have were people allowed to like grab your ass?
Of course not. No. And it's really funny because you really are just a server. They get around a lot of laws because they're hiring entertainers. So we were technically entertainers. And I did go on to be a server later. So I actually worked there on and off for a while. No, I mean, you're just a server. And it was funny because I had a name tag that said Aubrey, and some guys would be like, what's your real name?
You're like, it's Bob.
That's what I should have said.
Seriously, that's funny. What's your real name? Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I definitely think the sock guy, that's pretty great.
A lot of crazy stuff happened there all the time. But I think honestly, it goes to show that like when you're around weird, creepy dudes all the time, you can just create this wonderful community of women that like we still follow each other on Instagram, which is super crazy,
That's great. That sounds like the wine trade in general. When you're around lots of weird, creepy dudes, you consolidate with other women. Hashtag not all wine trade men. That's funny. Ooh, what are we going to pair with that? I mean, I feel like we have a sweaty gym sock element that we could bring into the pairing.
Hot
sauce, wings. There's also a level of like gay frivolity, that I'm into. My first thought was White Zinfandel, because that's like 18, being super cute, doing your makeup. But then since nobody likes White Zinfandel and it's not really good, with one exception, actually. I don't know if you ever had Chris Brockway, Brock Sellers. He makes a white zin. I don't know if he still does. I think it was something he did a bit cheekily. A bone dry White Zinfandel. It was really good.
I've actually seen a lot more come out of California over the past like 5 years. And there's some good ones now.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Tongue in cheek, right? They're like, look, we can do this and we can make it delicious. I like that. I'm into that. Okay, we could do that. Or let's see. Well, we were actually just recording for your podcast, Aubrey, the Think and Drink podcast. And we were talking about natural wine and how it can be really funky and messed up. So maybe I would pair a totally fucked up, mousy, some like Italian table wine, made by a 21-year-old who's never made wine before.
You're comparing the formative years of my life to a natty Italian table wine.
Fine. No, you're right. White Zinfandel. Good White Zinfandel. Made by fun, cool producers in California now.
Sounds good. Yeah. Tongue in cheek, unexpected.
And then after you drink that, then a bottle of Barefoot White Zin with some, Dua Lipa karaoke.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you just paired it with 2 bottles of white.
I think we need 2 bottles for this. One for before and one for after I've sold my underwear for €1,000 to whoever DMs me for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the perfect time to crack open Barefoot White Zin.
Yeah. I think at that point, that's all I'm drinking.
For the record, I never sold my underwear.
For the record,
want to put that out there.
For the record, I 1000% will. If you want to give me €1,000, you can have my underwear. I'm so cool with that. I'll go on a hike. I don't even care. I think if you're going to do that, you got to make it gross,
Yeah, put it out there. I mean, I think
Caroline's
actually really going through. It's like the 3rd time she mentioned it.
I'm
so
serious.
Really plugging her dirty underwear.
I'll do it. I'll wear it for, I don't know if this is going to be too dirty for the podcast. We'll see. I'll wear it for like 3 days straight. No, I won't. That's gross. You can
For
get it
€1,000, I would do that.
Yeah, 1,000, 3,000 for 3 days, 1,000 for 1 day. You know, we gotta value ourselves, Aubrey. I'll send it to you in a Ziploc. I can backpack it even. I have a vacuum sealer.
It's very professional of you.
Very professional. Backpack my dirty panties. That'd be perfect.
And so actually this podcast is all about Caroline's new fans only page that she's just promoting.
It's called OnlyFans, actually.
OnlyFans. See, I don't even know.
And I totally would do that if there was a market for it, but I really don't think anyone needs to see my pasty ass doing anything weird on the internet. So, well, to keep it on clean on YouTube and dirty on the podcast, and that seems pretty good to me. That was delightful. I love it. Next time we get together, I think it means we need to drink at least 2 bottles of wine. That won't be hard for us.
I'm sure. Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, if anyone is trying to find more about me and my very on Hooters-esque life now, you can find me on Instagram at Aubrey Pops Bottles, and I'm also on LinkedIn at Aubrey Terrazas.
Yes, awesome. And if you want to follow Aubrey, which you absolutely should, she's always in wonderful places, drinking beautiful wine, traveling, having a great time. You can find her on Instagram at Aubrey Pops Bottles, and we will put that link in the show notes. And if you are in the wine industry or food or anything really, and you want to hire Aubrey's agency, Terra V Marketing, for your digital marketing, for PR, stuff like that, you can hit her up on LinkedIn, and I will also put the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, Aubrey.
Thanks, Caroline. It's been fun.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour. Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour is produced by Paris Underground Radio. For more information about Happy Hour and shows like it, please go to parisundergroundradio.com. To hang out with me more, head to my Facebook group. It is called Good Wine, Good People, and you can find the link to that in the show notes. Cheers.